All right, I want to start off by asking you guys a question. Have you ever noticed, like when you're watching movies and TV shows and things like that, and maybe this even resonates with you in your real life, but what is the first thing that a man does when he gets home from like a long, stressful day at work? Well, more often than not, the first thing they do is they go to the fridge, they grab a beer, they pop the top off, and they start drinking. Now, I want you to take a moment and just think about why it is that that stereotype exists, and why is it that likely many of you who are listening to this video may actually respond in the same way. I know I'm guilty of the same thing. Now, I don't have a drink every single night, but there are many days where it's stressful, and that's the first thing that I do. The clock strikes 5 o'clock, it's happy hour, and it is time to pull a drink out of the fridge and go to town. So why is that? Why do guys do that? Well, what if I told you that, this is what guys do for self-care today? This is how we relax, this is how we unwind, and dare I use the word escape. I think that's what many of us are doing when we pull that beer out of the fridge, is that we are just taking a moment and we're escaping. Now think about women's mental health and all of the outlets that they have to unwind or to release their stress and all that stuff. And look, this is not a conversation about who's more stressed, men or women or whatever. It's just more of a dialogue and an observation of how society is set up for the different genders to deal with their stress. So what do women do when they're stressed, when they need a moment? Man, they've got pedicures, manicures, they've got massages, there's wine, there's book clubs, there's, women have like bunko and all these game nights and things like that. And they get together and they talk about real stuff, right? But what do guys do? Well, if we're alone, we grab a beer, we take a moment, we escape. We get on our phone for a few minutes and we escape. Or how about when the weekend comes? We're looking for an excuse to, go out with the buddies, go hunting, go camping. But in my mind, it's all a reason to just escape. Now, if you're really being honest with yourself, do you think that escaping from all the stress and all that stuff is really, that it turns you into the husband that you want to be, that it turns you into the dad that you want to be, that it turns you into the friend that you want to be, the employee that you want to be? No. All of that stuff that we're running away from, that we're escaping from, is what ultimately just holds us back from getting to where we want to go. So I had a video that came across my feed yesterday, and it was from Kevin Love. It was produced, I believe, by ESPN. Kevin Love is an NBA player, and he is getting some Arthur Ashe Award for being courageous in 2020. And when I started watching the video, here it is, an NBA player who has probably more money than he knows what to do with, is living the life, and he admitted that he is suffering from depression and anxiety, and even opened up about the fact that he, in the middle of a game, had a panic attack. Now, how many of you have ever had a panic attack? I hope that many of you have not, but if you have, it is one of the most disoriented, worst things that can ever happen, because while you're having a panic attack, you basically lose your mind, you lose your senses. There's a side of your brain that understands that like you're going crazy, but it can't control the other side of the brain that is taking over. Now, what I liked about Kevin Love talking about this is that he's doing something that I want to be able to do, that I'm hoping to accomplish. Not hoping to accomplish, I will accomplish. And that is to normalize the conversation around men's health. If you look at Kevin Love and you hear his story and you look at him and think that he's weak for sharing his story, then I challenge you to look within yourself and think why that is. Why has society made it weak for a man to talk about the things that he struggles with? Especially since once they get a grasp on what it is that they're struggling with, they become better, they become stronger, they get closer to their authentic self. And this is what has happened to me. And so whereas I do believe that Kevin Love deserves an award for being courageous, I have the vision for a future in which it is no longer courageous for men to talk about the things that they're struggling with. that the first thing that they do when they come home isn't to go to the fridge and just grab a beer because they need a minute to escape. My hope for my future is that I can be more present. It doesn't mean that I don't want to drink, because I enjoy drinking. You know, it is not that I don't think that we should have some vices sometimes, because it does help us relax. But if that's our go-to, that the first thing that we do when we come home isn't to engage with our wife, it isn't to engage with our kids, it's to go and grab an alcoholic drink because we need that minute, I would argue it's because we're not living in the present. We are not wanting to take the time and deal with all that stuff that is stressing us out. And this may involve having to go back in time and dig some stuff out from the past. And yeah, it sucks and it is painful. But what if doing so got you to where you wanted to go? So I want you to think the next time that you're going to the fridge and you're grabbing a beer, what is it you're trying to do? When you're leaving for the weekend, are you doing it because you are trying to go just have some fun and blow off some steam, or are you running from something? Be honest with yourself. I think that you'd be surprised if you could just have a moment of honesty, that you'd see what I saw, which is I just don't want to deal with what's happening around me, and I just want to escape. And this has long-term effects. So anyway, thanks for listening. Let me know in the comments if this resonated with you, if you see that this is something that you're doing, and also if you see a future for yourself that is better and more fulfilling than the one that you're living right now. Thanks for listening.